Okay, so get ready because today we are doing a deep dive on something pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Google's Willow chip.
Right.
You sent over some articles about, about this thing, how it might change the world.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, even just the headlines are pretty amazing.
Yeah.
A calculation that would take the world's fastest supercomputer 10 septillion years.
It's hard to even imagine.
I know. Willow did it in 5 minutes.
I know.
So let's unpack what that actually means and, what it could mean for all of us.
Right.
With some help from you, of course.
Of course. Happy to be here.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's monumental.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that. And it all hinges on the fact that Willow is not crunching numbers the way a normal computer does.
Yeah.
It's harnessing these bizarre rules of quantum mechanics to just do things that would otherwise seem impossible.
Okay, so I know the basic idea is that quantum computers use these things called qubits instead of bits.
Exactly.
But how does that translate into such a ridiculous speed difference? 5 minutes versus longer than the universe has existed?
Yeah.
That's not just a little bit faster. That's like a
Whoa.
completely different scale.
You're telling me, think of it this way.
Okay.
A regular bit is like a light switch.
Okay.
It's either on or off, 1 or 0.
Mm-hmm.
A qubit, though, is like a dimmer switch.
Yeah, okay.
It can be a little on somewhere in between.
Right.
And it can actually explore all of those possibilities simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's not just about being faster, it's about doing something completely different.
Precisely.
Okay.
Now add in this idea of entanglement where these qubits can become linked.
Okay.
And if you change one, the others instantly react,
Wow.
no matter how far apart they are.
Okay.
So it's like if you had 2 coins that always land on opposite sides,
Okay.
even if you flip them in different countries,
Right.
with just 5 qubits, you can actually explore 32 combinations at once.
Wow.
A classical computer with 5 bits can only handle 1 combination at a time.
Right.
That's where this exponential power comes from.
So the more qubits you add, the more the possibilities kind of explode.
They do.
But hold on, I thought one of the big problems with quantum computers was that they were really prone to errors.
Yes.
How does Willow get around that?
Well, that's one of the remarkable things about this breakthrough.
Okay.
Unlike previous quantum computers, Willow's accuracy actually increases as it scales up.
What?
So they've seemingly solved one of the biggest hurdles in the field.
That's wild.
It is.
It almost defies logic.
It does seem that way.
Okay, so let's get into the really mind-bending stuff.
Okay.
This calculation that proves quantum supremacy.
Right.
What exactly was it?
Yeah.
What did Willow do that no classical computer could ever achieve?
It was a very specific problem,
Okay.
carefully chosen to really showcase Willow's power.
Okay.
Essentially, they had it analyze the output of a random quantum circuit,
Okay.
which is a way to represent a series of quantum operations.
Yeah.
And this task is incredibly difficult for classical computers because the number of possibilities explodes exponentially
Right.
as the circuit grows larger.
So it's not just a matter of time, it's that a classical computer would literally need to be bigger than the universe to
Yeah.
hold all the possible solutions
Yeah,
that it
right.
would have to check, right?
Yeah,
Whereas Willow just does it.
just does it.
God, it's amazing.
Yeah, and not only did it do it, it did it with an incredible level of accuracy
Okay.
that confirmed that the results were not just due to random chance.
Right.
This is a definitive demonstration that we've entered a new era of computing.
And this is where the whole multiverse theory comes in, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this chip is operating on principles that are so different that some physicists are suggesting that
Yeah.
it's actually tapping into parallel universes to do its calculations.
Right.
Is that even within the realm of possibility?
It's certainly a captivating idea.
Yeah.
Physicist David Deutsch has actually proposed that quantum computers might be interacting with parallel universes to perform these computations.
Wow.
It's a mind-blowing concept.
Totally.
And while it is still speculative,
Yeah.
Willow's success has definitely given it a lot more weight.
Okay, so hold on.
Yeah.
If that's even remotely true, then we're not just talking about faster calculations.
No?
We're talking about accessing information from entirely different realities.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
It is.
What kind of problems could we solve with that kind of power?
Well, the possibilities are truly staggering.
Yeah.
If we could tap into these parallel universes,
Yeah.
we might be able to solve problems that are currently considered unsolvable.
Oh, wow.
From cracking the code of consciousness to understanding the origins of the universe itself.
Okay, that's a lot to process.
It is.
But before we get too lost in the multiverse,
Right.
let's bring it back down to Earth a bit.
Okay.
This technology has real-world applications too, right?
It does.
It's not all just theoretical.
No, absolutely.
Okay, good. So let's dive into that.
Okay.
What are some of the most promising areas where Willow could make a real difference?
Well, medicine is a prime example.
Okay.
Willow could accelerate drug discovery by simulating complex molecular interactions,
Right.
allowing researchers to design personalized treatments based on an individual's genetic makeup.
Wow.
We could potentially cure diseases that have plagued humanity for centuries.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And what about energy? I mean, everyone's talking about finding sustainable solutions.
Right.
Could Willow play a role there too?
It absolutely could.
Ow.
Quantum computing could help us develop much more efficient solar panels,
Okay.
design batteries that store vastly more energy, and even unlock new forms of clean energy that we haven't even imagined yet.
So we're talking about solutions to some of humanity's biggest challenges.
Exactly.
But I also remember reading about some potential dangers,
Yeah.
especially around security.
Right.
If Willow can crack calculations, that would take a supercomputer billions of years. What does that mean for our current encryption methods?
Right.
Is everything we think is secure online suddenly vulnerable?
That's a very real concern.
Okay.
Much of our online security relies on the difficulty of factoring large numbers, which is a task that's currently impractical for classical computers, but potentially easy for quantum computers like Willow.
Oh, yeah.
So this is where the field of quantum-resistant cryptography comes in.
Okay, so we're essentially in a race against time then
We are.
to develop new forms of encryption
Yes.
that can withstand these quantum attacks.
Right.
What happens if we fall behind?
The consequences could be catastrophic.
Yeah.
Everything from financial transactions to government secrets to personal data could be at risk.
Wow.
It's a challenge we need to address with the utmost urgency.
All right, so we've got this incredible power on one hand and these potentially terrifying risks on the other.
It's a lot to think about.
It sounds like we're entering a whole new era, one that's full of both promise and peril. But before we get too deep into the implications of all of this,
Right.
I think let's take a moment to really understand how this mind-boggling technology actually works.
Okay.
What's going on inside that chip?
Okay.
And why does it need to be kept at temperatures colder than space?
It's a fascinating story of engineering and scientific ingenuity.
Okay.
So to achieve these incredible feats,
Yeah.
Willow relies on a phenomenon called superposition,
Okay.
where those qubits can exist in multiple states at once.
Right?
But these quantum states are extremely fragile.
Okay.
They're very easily disrupted by any kind of interference.
So it's like a balancing act.
It is.
You need to keep things perfectly still
Yes.
to harness that quantum weirdness.
Exactly, and that's where the extreme cold comes in.
Okay.
So Willow is actually housed in a dilution refrigerator,
What?
which uses a mixture of helium isotopes to cool it down to just a few thousandths of a degree above absolute zero.
That's insane.
It's incredible.
Hold on, a dilution refrigerator?
Yeah.
What is that?
It's a remarkable piece of technology.
Okay.
Essentially, it uses a series of cooling stages to progressively lower the temperature.
Mm-hmm.
It works by exploiting the quantum properties of helium isotopes, creating a mixture that absorbs heat as it transitions between different energy states.
Wow.
It's a very complex process,
I bet.
but the result is an environment where those qubits can maintain their superposition and entanglement
Right.
long enough to actually perform these mind-boggling computations.
So it's not just about the chip itself, it's about the whole system around it.
The whole system,
Yeah.
creating an environment where these quantum phenomena can even exist.
That's pretty amazing.
It truly is.
Okay, so we've got a basic understanding of how Willow works,
Right.
and why it's such a big deal.
Yeah.
But I think what's really fascinating is what it means for the future.
Oh, absolutely.
We've touched on some of the potential benefits and risks,
Yeah.
but I'm curious to explore the bigger picture.
Okay.
What does this breakthrough tell us about where humanity is headed?
And are we ready for the changes that are coming?
Those are the big questions.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we have the answers yet.
Yeah.
But we have to start asking them.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the question that keeps me up at night.
Oh, really?
Yeah. To be honest,
Wow.
I think we're on the verge of a technological revolution unlike anything we've ever seen.
Yeah.
And the choices we make now will shape the future of our species.
No pressure then.
Right.
But you're right, it's not just about faster computers.
Yeah.
It's about unlocking possibilities that we could barely even imagine before.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get back to those possibilities for a sec.
Okay.
We talked about medicine and energy,
Yeah.
but What other fields could be transformed by this kind of computing power?
Well, for starters, think about materials science.
Okay.
Willow could help us design entirely new materials with properties that we haven't even dreamed of.
Really?
Yeah. Imagine self-healing metals, fabrics that generate electricity.
Oh, wow.
Or even room temperature superconductors. Wait, room temperature superconductors?
Yeah.
What would that even mean for, everything?
It would be a game changer.
Okay.
Superconductors allow electricity to flow with zero resistance,
Right.
which means no energy loss as heat.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, they only work at extremely low temperatures,
Okay.
which makes them impractical for widespread use.
Right.
But if we could create them at room temperature,
Yeah.
we would revolutionize electronics transportation, energy transmission,
Wow.
virtually every aspect of our technological infrastructure.
So we're talking about flying cars and teleportation.
Okay, maybe not that extreme,
Okay.
but it sounds pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about AI?
Oh, yeah.
We already have AI that can beat humans at chess and Go.
Right.
But what could a quantum-powered AI do?
We're talking about AI that could surpass human intelligence
Wow.
in virtually every domain.
Okay.
AI that could design these incredibly complex systems, solve scientific mysteries,
Mhm.
even compose symphonies or write novels that rival the greatest human artists.
Okay, that's both exciting and terrifying.
It is.
I mean, if we create something that intelligent, how can we be sure
Right.
that it will stay under our control?
Right.
What's to stop it from deciding that humans are a problem and,
Yeah.
taking over?
That's a question that's been at the forefront of AI research for decades.
Yeah,
And it's one that becomes even more urgent in the age of quantum computing.
I bet.
We need to develop these robust safeguards, ethical guidelines, and perhaps even entirely new ways of thinking about AI
Okay.
to ensure that it remains aligned with human values and goals.
So it's not just about building the technology, it's about understanding its implications.
Exactly.
And making sure we're using it wisely.
Precisely. It's a profound responsibility,
Yeah.
and one that requires collaboration
Yeah.
across all disciplines, from computer science and physics to philosophy and ethics.
Wow.
We need to be thinking about not just what we can do,
Yeah.
but what we should do.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit and talk about something that's been on my mind.
Okay.
Since we started this whole deep dive, this
Mhm.
whole thing about tapping into parallel universes,
Yeah.
it's wild, right?
It's a wild idea.
But if it's even remotely possible, what does that tell us about the nature of reality?
Mm-hmm.
Are we just one tiny branch on this infinite tree of possibilities?
It's a question that's been pondered by philosophers and physicists for centuries.
I bet.
And quantum mechanics seems to suggest that our universe might not be the only one.
Whoa.
So the idea is that every time a quantum measurement is made,
Okay.
every time a qubit chooses a state, the universe splits
Wow.
into multiple branches,
Okay.
each one representing a different outcome.
So there could be countless regions of ourselves out there,
Potentially,
living out every possible variation of our lives.
it's hard to even imagine.
That's a lot to wrap my head around.
It is. But it also raises some fascinating philosophical questions.
Like what?
Well, if there are infinite universes, does free will even exist?
No.
Are our choices meaningful
Yeah.
if every possible outcome is playing out somewhere?
Whoa, okay, those are some deep questions.
I know.
And I thought I was just trying to understand how a computer chip works.
Right.
But seriously, where does this leave us?
Yeah.
If reality is that strange, that much bigger than we ever thought, how do we even begin to make sense of it?
I think it's a call to humility,
Okay.
a reminder that we know far less than we think we do.
Right.
And it's an invitation to explore, to keep pushing the boundaries
Yeah.
of our knowledge and understanding.
Mm.
Who knows what wonders we might discover as we delve deeper into the mysteries of the quantum realm.
Okay, so maybe we don't have all the answers,
Right.
but at least we're asking the right questions.
Yeah, that's a good start.
Yeah. But let's step back from the philosophical implications for a moment
Okay.
and talk about the practical challenges of building and maintaining these incredibly complex machines.
Right.
We touched on the dilution refrigerator
Yeah.
and the need for extreme cold,
Mhm.
but what other hurdles do researchers face?
One of the biggest challenges is scalability.
Okay.
Building a quantum computer with a few dozen qubits is one thing,
Yeah.
but building one with thousands or millions of qubits, which is what we'll need to tackle really complex problems,
Right.
is a whole other ballgame.
Yeah.
We need to develop new fabrication techniques, new materials, and new ways of controlling and manipulating these incredibly sensitive quantum states.
So it's not just about building bigger chips. It's about rethinking the entire architecture of computing.
Exactly. And we need to find ways to make these systems more robust and less error-prone.
Right.
Remember, those quantum states are incredibly fragile. Any kind of noise or interference can disrupt the computation.
Yeah.
We need to develop error correction techniques that can maintain the integrity of those quantum states,
Okay.
even in the presence of real-world imperfections.
It sounds like a monumental engineering challenge.
It is.
But isn't that always the case with groundbreaking technologies?
That's right.
We had to overcome countless obstacles to get from the first light bulb to the internet.
Yeah.
And I imagine it will be the same with quantum computing.
You're absolutely right. And just like those previous revolutions,
Yeah.
this one will require investment collaboration and a willingness to push the boundaries of what we think is possible.
I think you're right.
But I believe the rewards will be well worth the effort.
Okay, so we've talked about the incredible potential of quantum computing,
Right.
the mind-bending physics behind it, the practical challenges of developing it, and the philosophical questions it raises about the nature of reality and our place in the universe.
Absolutely big stuff.
But what about the human element?
Oh, that's a good question.
How will all of this impact our lives, our societies, our future?
That's perhaps the most important question of all.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's one that we're only beginning to grapple with.
Right.
The truth is, we don't fully know how quantum computing will reshape the world,
Yeah.
but we can be sure that it will have profound implications.
Yeah. For everything from our economies and our political systems to our personal relationships and our understanding of ourselves as human beings.
So we're essentially heading into uncharted territory.
We are.
We have a rough map, but we don't know exactly what we'll find along the way.
That's a great analogy. We're explorers.
Yeah.
Venturing into a new frontier.
Right.
And like all explorers, we need to be prepared for the unexpected. We need to be adaptable, resourceful. And above all, we need to keep our minds open to the wonders that might lie ahead.
I'm certainly feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation.
I can imagine.
It's a bit like standing on the edge of a cliff, looking out at this vast and uncharted landscape.
Yeah.
There's a sense of awe, of limitless possibility, but also a sense of vertigo.
Right.
A recognition that the path ahead is uncertain and potentially perilous.
That's a powerful image. And I think it captures the essence of where we are right now.
Yeah.
We're at a crossroads, a moment of profound transition. And the choices we make now will determine the course of our journey. Wow. Okay, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into Google's Willow chip. And honestly, I'm still reeling from that last conversation.
I know, me too.
It's a lot to take in.
Parallel universes, the nature of reality.
Whoa. This is getting pretty existential.
It is. It's
Yeah.
hard not to go down the rabbit hole with this stuff. But I think those big questions are important to consider.
Right.
Because this technology really does have the potential to change our understanding of, well, pretty much everything.
Totally. But before we get too philosophical, I want to make sure we kind of bring it back to the real world here.
Right.
We've talked about all these like amazing possibilities.
Yeah.
But what are like the concrete steps that need to be taken to actually make this quantum future a reality?
Well, first and foremost, we need continued investment in research and development.
Okay.
Building these machines is incredibly complex and expensive.
Yeah.
And we're still really in the early stages.
Right.
We need to support the scientists and engineers who are pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
And it's not just about the hardware, right?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
We need software algorithms, applications
Right.
that can actually harness this power and translate it into real-world solutions.
Okay, so you're saying we need a whole new generation of quantum programmers
Exactly.
that can think in fundamentally different ways about how to solve problems.
Right. It's a whole new way of thinking.
And we need to create platforms and tools
Yes.
that make quantum computing accessible to a wider range of users.
Right.
Not just like a select few experts.
Exactly. It can't just be in the hands of a few.
So it's about democratizing access to this technology.
It is.
Making sure it benefits everyone,
Right.
not just big corporations or governments.
That's right.
But speaking of governments,
Yeah.
what role should they play in this quantum revolution?
I think governments have a critical role to play,
Okay.
both in terms of funding research
Mm-hmm.
and setting ethical guidelines and regulations.
Right.
This is a technology with enormous potential for both good and ill.
Yeah.
And we need to make sure that it's developed and used responsibly.
Right. We talked about the security risks earlier,
Right.
but there are also concerns about misuse in
Yeah.
areas like surveillance or even warfare.
Yeah, that's a big one.
How do we prevent a quantum arms race?
That's a crucial question.
Yeah.
We need international cooperation
Okay.
and treaties to prevent the weaponization of this technology,
Right.
just like with nuclear weapons.
Yeah.
We need to recognize the potential dangers
Yeah.
and work together to establish safeguards.
Okay, so we need investment collaboration regulation.
It's big lists.
It sounds like a massive undertaking.
It is.
But I'm also curious about the human side of all this.
Okay.
How will this impact, like, our jobs, our education,
Okay.
our daily lives?
Well, it's hard to predict with certainty,
Sure.
but it's very likely that many jobs will be automated
Right.
as quantum computers become more powerful.
Yeah.
I think we need to start thinking now about how to retrain workers
Okay.
and prepare them for the jobs of the future.
Yeah.
And our education systems need to adapt,
Right.
teaching students the skills they'll need to thrive in this quantum world.
So it's not just about the technology itself.
Right.
It's about the social and economic changes
Yes,
that will come with it.
exactly.
We need to be prepared for a future that will look very different from the one we know today.
We do. It's a brave new world.
It is, and I think it's important to approach this future with a sense of both excitement and caution.
I agree.
We have this incredible opportunity to solve some of the world's most pressing challenges.
We do.
But we also need to be mindful of the potential risks and unintended consequences.
It's a tightrope walk.
It's like we're holding this powerful new tool,
Yeah.
and we need to learn how to use it wisely.
It's a good analogy.
But as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
I keep coming back to that one mind-blowing concept.
True.
The possibility of tapping into parallel universes.
Oh, yeah.
If that's even remotely true, it changes everything.
It does. It challenges our most fundamental assumptions
Yeah.
about the nature of reality and our place in the cosmos.
Right.
And it raises some really profound questions about who we are and what our purpose might be
Yeah.
in this vast and mysterious multiverse.
Okay, I think we've officially reached peak mind-blowing territory.
We might have.
But seriously, I want to thank you for taking us on this incredible journey.
Oh, it's been my pleasure.
It's been a real eye-opener, and I think I speak for our listeners when I say we've learned a lot.
I hope so.
Yeah, you've given us so much to think about.
Good. I hope this conversation has inspired you to keep exploring,
Definitely.
to keep asking questions, and to keep imagining the possibilities that lie ahead.
Well said, and to our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of Google's Willow chip.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody.
We hope it's left you with a sense of wonder, a spark of curiosity, and perhaps even a little bit of existential dread.
That's cool.
But above all, we hope it's inspired you to keep learning and to keep engaging with the big questions that will shape our future.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep exploring.